I'd like to immediately move to my presentation. My presentation, the contents are, first I'd like to explain how we analyze the trends of the industry for the trends report. And this week, we will see the publish of the trends report. But from the latest trends report, I'd like to show some of the highlights. But we are now in October, so I'd like to introduce some of the situation of the first half of this year. Then I summarize the presentation. Okay. My company, RTS Corporation, we are responsible for the industry part of the trends report since 2012. And we conducted primary survey of the production amount and production capacity with our international global partners in United States, China, Chinese Taipei, South Korea, or India, and of course in Europe. Almost all the part of the PV manufacturing countries. And also the task one national experts provide the information, and also that we use some of the report from the industry associations for our analysis. And my company actually established in 1983. Now, since then, we are tracking the PV industry, and I hope our analysis in the trends report will be helpful for the readers. So now I move to the highlights of the trends report. This is about the last year's data, but some of the trends still we can observe nowadays. First, already Gaëtan showed this chart, installed capacity and the PV module production amount, and also the manufacturing capacity of the PV modules. Last year, against the demand, I mean the installed capacity, the production was 726 gigawatt, and production manufacturing capacity is almost double of the production amount in case of the PV modules. This situation is one of the cause of the very lower price of the PV modules. But if I compare the 2023 and the manufacturing capacity enhancement somehow slowing down in China, but it's now quite active in USA and India. And the next, I'd like to show the comparison of the production amount and manufacturing capacity along the value chain. The last slide was about the PV module, but entire value chain, last year, we have enough capacity for the market. And last year, I think in the end of the May, PV module price was dropped to the below 10 cents per watt. And since then, this lower level still continues. And this module price is sometimes below the manufacturing cost and resulting in so-called Naijian in Chinese, but involution, the very hectic price competition. Now the PV industry is facing, and the most of the major manufacturers are exhausted in terms of their revenue. I will talk about this later. Then now I'd like to the share of the country along the supply chain. This pie chart shows the share of the production by country in last year. And actually, China includes the share of the production almost along the value chain. But in case of the sale of the PV module, you can see the Southeast Asian countries and also the India here. Because of the local manufacturing policy incentives and also the some protective measures against the imported products, these regions production share is increasing. But the trade barriers also very contribute the diversification of the manufacturing location. And in case of the United States, the last year, the production capacity of the PV module reached 41 gigawatt per year. And behind this, the Inflation Reduction Act, the manufacturers get subsidy for their production, and also the different types of the trade barriers are protecting the country. And in case of the India also the PLI scheme, the implement the PLI scheme that provide incentives for production. And certification scheme in India. This is quite effective to promote the domestic production. And the USA and India are quite active for the production and manufacturing capacity enhancement. And also I think the European countries might be realize the enhancement of the production capacity, because last year the Net Zero Industry Act, NGR, passed. And some of the projects already ongoing. But I'm not sure that without the direct incentive, like for the production like India or USA, the Europe can make the production capacity enhancement like the speed of the USA or India. And I already told the trade issues also affect the production basis. This is quite busy, so that I will not explain each of the countries or each of the regions, but I'd like to pick up in case of the USA. And United States already implemented several kind of the duties for China or Chinese Taipei. And also the recently the USA reported several kinds of the additional duties for the imported product. Recently, the product from the Cambodia or Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam, the anti-circumvention duties will be imposing, and this is retroactive to June 6, 2022. Also, the Department of the Commerce announced the anti-subsidy investigation for the solar cell and module imported from India, Indonesia, and Laos. This is announced in this August. And as well as this, now India's PV module might be added additional duty because the India is purchasing the crude oil from Russia. And if the including reciprocal tariffs proposed by the President Trump, the 50% of the duties will be imposed. And also the US is protected the product made by the forced labor. I think these duties or law also contribute to protect the domestic production. And now some of the company already think to establish the manufacturing factory in the totally new places. For example, in case of the Toyo Solar in Japan, they had a manufacturing factory in Vietnam. Now they moved some of the cell production equipment into Ethiopia, and now planning to making cell in Ethiopia and import to USA without duties. So, and also the other reasons, Middle Eastern countries are quite active to establish the PV supply chain in their country, so that we will see the more diversity of the location in the future. Now, I'd like to go to some highlight along the value chain. This shows the production amount of the polysilicon, including semiconductor. And what I'd like to emphasize is the production growth of the production rate dropped if we compare to that of the 2023. This is because of the excessive production capacity is too large. This is one of the reasons, and also the profit of the polysilicon companies getting lower because of the price drop down. And another highlight is now the consumption amount for polysilicon used for solar cell is dropped to the 2 grams per watt. In 2015, it was 5.6 grams, and this shows the PV industries are still making efforts to improve the product material usage. Now, I'd like to move to the wafer production trends. The wafer dominated by China, and we see the Vietnam, Thailand, or Malaysia is the wafer production countries because mostly the major PV manufacturers have these factories to avoid the anti-dumping duty in US. And One of the highlights in last year was N-type warehouse increased its market share from 30% to 70%. This is related to the technological change of the solar cell. I'll talk later. And also the size is getting larger. And now the M10 standard, the 182 millimeters square is the standard size. There may be in some future warehouse size may increase, and G12 standard may be showing the market. And now I'd like to go to the solar cell. And in terms of the solar cell, one of the highlight is the TOPCon became the mainstream technology in last year. Next page, I'd like to show more details. And now the reduction of the silver amount for the electrode is now key challenge to achieve the further growth of the PV market. Because now, I think the latest figure is 90% of the global silver production is used for PV. And if we continue, our market continue to grow, the price of the silver should be increase, and the PV manufacturer needs to deal with this. So the way to reduce silver consumption is one of the way is the using alternative materials like copper. For example, the copper covered silver, or using the wire bonding technology doesn't need electrode. Here, this is from the Chinese PV Industry Association. You can see the share of the TOPCon. Totally replaced the share of the P-type park in 2023. But this change raises some issues because in early stage, the UV degradation, UV-induced degradation was observed. And now most of the manufacturers are dealing with adapting the special encapsulant and for the solution. But because of the progress of the technology so fast, this shows that we really need to ensure the reliability of the new technology. I think the PV industry really should take care. And next, I'd like to show the PV module production trends. I do not like explain the figures, but China dominates the market, and but as I said, India produced 24 gigawatt, and the U.S. states produced 23 gigawatt, and because of the U.S. anti-duties, that Vietnam or Thailand or Malaysia, those Southeast Asian countries produced some. Then the Gaëtan also showed this chart, but I'd like to give some more details. As you can see, now monocrystalline or single crystalline technology dominates the market. And this red part shows the thin film. This is mainly from the cadmium telluride technology. And also, I'd like to let you know about the last year, almost 80% of the PV module are glass bifacial. And the encapsulants also changed. Formerly, the EVA was the major technology, but now the EVA and POE laminated encapsulant increase the share because of the change of the solar cell technologies. And the Gaëtan already said that he will see the share of the thin film remains small. I'd like to tell you why. Because of the thin film manufacturing capacity now is not significant if we compare the planning capacity additions, the crystalline silicon technologies. And but if some of the manufacturing makers making the CIGS or amorphous silicon remains with a very small production. And recently, some of the new startup companies started the perovskite PV modules, especially in China. But because of the significant proportion of the crystalline silicon capacity, manufacturing capacity, I also support the Gaëtan's view for the future technology. Well, Gaëtan also the major manufacturers suffered for the lower profit, and this shows some of the companies' cases. And I think that this situation somehow continues in this first half of the year. Now I'd like to move to the PV inverter situation in 2024. According to the Wood Mackenzie, last year, this is AC 589 gigawatt of the inverter produced. And in inverter production, China has the strong presence. For example, Huawei and Sangro, these are top two manufacturers. The total of these top two manufacturers has over 55% of the global share. But in some region, the local manufacturers has some share because of the track record or regulation for the grid code. And the trends of the inverter is for the decentralized version application, the hybrid inverters combining PV to storage batteries are now increasing. And the string inverters capacity is getting bigger. And now the central inverter can handle with the 2000 voltage. And this is quite advancing in China. And because of the grid stability, the introduction of the grid forming inverters are now being underway in demonstration project. And also the cybersecurity controllability of the inverter is now an issue and need to be some measures. And then I'd like to talk about the PV tracker. I already explained the 80% of the PV module was bifacial one. And for example, in US, the bifacial module plus single axis tracker is quite major in utility applications. And in case of US, the 90% of the utility scale PV projects adopts the PV tracker. Unlike other PV products, the US has a very strong presence for the manufacturing of the PV trackers. Because those companies located in US has a very high share in United States, and also the IRA Act helps them. And next to US, India or Middle Eastern countries or South America, they are adopting tracking systems. These are some highlights of the trends report and the status of this first half of the year I'd like to explain. This first half of the year, the production of the PV value chain a little bit slowed down. I'd like to show the Chinese polysilicon production volume. This is the comparison of the year by year for the first half of the period. And actually the polysilicon production dropped by 43.8% from the same period of last year. This is because the Chinese manufacturers try to keep the production ratio smaller because of the to keep the price. And also the Chinese government direction is to stabilize the PV industry situation. And some of the company suspended operation because of the lower price. In the first half of this year. And also the wafer production decreased. If I compare the last year same period. And wafer imports decreased because some of the Southeast Asian companies, the production volume is decreased. At now, many wafer manufacturers reducing the operation rate to keep the price level. But in case of the cell and module, we see the small increase of the production.
Just to let you know, Izumi, we have about 10 minutes left in the webinar.
Okay. Some more slides. And next, I'd like to show the PV module situation. The PV module production is a little bit increased. Okay, but export value and export volume have decreased. Then I skip this. Then we saw the price drop since the last May, but recently we saw the small increase of the price. One of the reasons is the Chinese Ministry of the Industry announced the action plan for stabilizing growth in the electronic information manufacturing industry. The plan sets a goal to increase annual sales by more than 5% for lithium-ion battery and PV cell and modules. So to increase the annual sales, I think there are only two ways: the selling more or selling with higher prices. So we may will see the little increase of the prices, but thinking about the situation, the gaps between the supply and demand, I think we do not see the significant increase in the price. Because the first half of the year, China, the installation volume in terms of the AC, the 230 gigawatt, but this was due to the policy change in China. After June, the installation volumes dropped down, so that makes the PV price stable or still lower level. And this is a final slide. I told about the oversupply and also the price situation and the lowering margin in the industry and the trade barriers. And now the US or Europe or India, they are promoting the local production and supporting protection of the local industry. My conclusion is that our market should increase, and the terawatt market will be soon, we realize. So I think the PV industry needs to prepare for the further growth for the market. I didn't put about the issues of the recycling, but task 12, they are doing studying this issue, and I hope download the trends report for more detailed information. Thank you for your attention.
Over to Melody.
So Izumi, we have a question from the spectators, but there's another one that is unasked and I think is important. So one of those questions on what's happening with tandems, will they come onto the market? But the other question is, you showed the very big shift in 2023 from PERC to TOPCon. What does this mean in terms of retiring manufacturing equipment and the manufacturing capacity estimations? Is this mean equipment is being put out to pasture, or are we adapting existing equipment?
Hi. The first question is about tandem. I think the tandem, mainly the crystalline silicon plus perovskite is now a major research topic. Actually, the Oxford PV, the UK company, they announced the shipment, but as far as I heard, the shipment is not large volume, not yet. And most of the major PV companies like LONGi or Jinko or also the Anhua Q cells, they are doing the research and announce the highest efficiencies they made, something like that. And 2 weeks ago, in the European PV conference, I heard many new reports. But some of the CTO of these companies told me still they need to ensure the reliability of the tandem. So I think it remains to be seen if there is really became the major products or not. And also the change of the cell technology. One of the reasons the TOPCon takes 70% of the share last year. The TOPCon is process easily established if you have the PARC technology process, because in general, TOPCon needs 3 more steps for the in addition to the PARC process. So this is the reason that in a very short period, PV companies achieved the transfer to the TOPCon. So this means that I think the retired equipment for the PARC process is not a huge volumes. But interesting thing is that in US, some companies are selected to produce the PARC process because they think PARC process is more easier to get volume of the production. And also the P-type PARC, the reliability already ensured.
Okay, thank you, Izumi. And a follow-up question to that. If some companies think it's easier to initiate production on PERC, does that mean the industrial projects that are mentioned, for example, in the Oman development zone in North Africa, are likely to go into PERC, or can we consider they'll be initiating in TOPCon?
Good question. I think in general, the OPEX of the PARC is less than TOPCon. TOPCon's OPEX is quite high if I compare. So that might be better to select the PARC process.
Okay, thank you. Let me just check if there are any last minute questions coming in. I don't see any. Any explanation, Frank, who always has very good questions. Polysilicon China has increased 40%. Module prices have remained fairly resilient. Any explanation?
One of the reasons the polysilicon production is decreased is that some companies suspended the production because their production cost is far lower than the floor market prices. And also I think the PV manufacturers' efforts to reduce the material usage affect the decrease of the production. The thinner warehouse they adapted.
Thank you. And maybe we can close the questions, not with a question, but Roberto Vigotti, I'm not sure if you can turn your camera or your microphone on. And I think we'd all be really pleased to hear what you've put into the chat. I'm not sure if you can turn your microphone on.
I can. He should be able to now.
You hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really proud of what you're doing. I wrote you exactly what they thought about us, Cinderella option, and I think it's a very nice nickname. They only forgot that Cinderella at the end goes to court. So I'm really proud of what you're doing. Just I want to show you my appreciation of what you've done, and keep going. Okay, so thank you so much. I will try to follow your seminar as much as I can. Ciao and congratulations. Keep going, because at that time when we started, nobody believed in PV. You know, there was a conference in Sicily in 1991 saying, will ever be photovoltaic a terrestrial source of energy? Because at that time it was only space. So you see, when you try hard, things happen. Ciao and congratulations.
So the floor is now open for further questions on either of the presentations. The first one from Gaëtan Masson or the second one from Izumi Kaizuka. And I'll hand the floor to Melody and Gaëtan to manage the Q&A part.
Okay, so we already have a couple of questions. And before we get into the technology question, one that comes back quite often is, what can we expect on the North American market or the follow-on effects elsewhere in the world from the One Big Beautiful Bill?
That's a very complex one. I think we should look at the political environment first. I was mentioning in my presentation that we are going from a policy-driven to a policy-constrained environment. And it's quite clear that the North American market is going to be significantly constrained, talking about the USA, in the coming years. But also, we know that the USA are not a monolithic market, that many policies are decided at state level, and not all states will go in the same direction. So I also think that there is an appetite for solar, especially in the residential and the commercial industrial segments, even in, I would say, Republican states. What I think is more problematic is probably the future of manufacturing in the US, because what creates instability market-wise, and especially the fast evolution of trade duties, might have a significant impact at the end on the willingness of investors to pour money into local manufacturing. I'm not desperate about that. I think it's just moving, I would say, a few years forward, the moment where the US could become a significant actor with regard to PV manufacturing.
Okay, thank you. It's kind of linked to the American manufacturing. Izumi mentioned 2% of the cumulative capacity was CDTE. Are there any other top technologies incorporated in that? What's the relative share of other thin film?
There is a little bit of CIGS left, especially in China, not much. And the main issue is that CIGS is now extremely uncompetitive compared to crystalline silicon. And there is a little bit of amorphous silicon, mainly for semi-transparent applications, but it's very niche market, which in my opinion will disappear. Almost everything left, everything else has been disappeared, and there is nothing left. And one can note that basically overcapacities in crystalline silicon manufacturing are making other technologies very, very hardly competitive.
And a question we had in this morning's session was the perspectives for tandems.
That's also a very interesting question. It depends what kind of tandem cells we are talking about. If we're talking about tandem cells which are based on perovskites, it's not going to come immediately. It's still, in my opinion, years away from massive production. We can sometimes have a surprise, but for the time being, we're still far from having something which might be suitable for traditional PV applications. So basically with a lifetime around 20 years. It doesn't mean that we could not have other applications, short-term, flexible in closes for whatever you can imagine with a few weeks of lifetime, but then the cost might be important. There are other options for tandem cells, thin film based, like based on CIGS and cadmium telluride, but their combined efficiency would be around 25–26%, which is comparable to the best cells we can find on the market with homojunction technologies for the time being. We might see things maybe at some point using a crystalline silicon combined with 3-5 cells, and there are some other options. But I would say that thin film might at least partially come back in tandem, but we don't see it yet in the short term. So maybe we should wait a couple of years to see whether we have significant progresses with regard to perovskites, and then let's see.
Thank you. And a last question, which I suspect will bring us to the end of our time, but gives me an opportunity to say we have introduced a couple of a short summary on this subject. Are we seeing for distributed solar, but we can extend it to utility scale solar as well, any policy changes across the world in terms of setting export limits to the grid, and how could this eventually affect the market?
As far as I can remember, Germany was the first to set up export limits at 70% of the nominal capacity. And it's going to come for a very simple reason, is that it costs significantly less, and Southern Australia is doing it already, for instance. It costs significantly less to curtail in that way, so putting export limits, rather than forcing immediately the installation of batteries, for instance. And I think we might see some compensations, as it has been shown in Australia, for instance, and in other countries. But from a PV market point of view, I think it will naturally push to use batteries either connected to the system or close, and I think it might impact the way our PV will develop.
Thank you.